So the thing about trickle-down economics is it doesn't. The situation we're in today is because billionaires aren't being taxed. It is the inevitable endpoint of neoliberalism and the idea that if we don't tax billionaires, we don't tax corporations, then they'll have so much more money that they'll create more jobs, and because they create more jobs, more people will be earning more money. That is nonsense. I think we've got 40 years of data that proves that that's nonsense. And conversely, we also have a period as well documented that shows us how the economy is supposed to function. Like back in the 50s through the 70s, you had corporations and billionaires, well, there weren't really any billionaires, because anyone who got anywhere near that amount of money was being taxed at like 80-90%. And you know where all that money went? It went back into the government purse, and that money was then used to fund social programs, infrastructure, hospitals, education, everything that society needs to function. We don't have that anymore. Now, billionaires, rich people, corporations don't pay any tax. That money goes up to the top and it just stays there. And this is the opposite of what an economy is supposed to do. The whole point of an economy is the circulation of resources, right? You know, I'm a farmer, I've got a huge corn farm, and you have a bunch of sheep and a lot of wool. We go down to the market, we figure out how much of my corn is worth how much of your wool. We just use a currency to make the difference, right? It's very simple stuff. And that's the whole point of having the money, is just to keep things circulating so that we can exchange the resources. But neoliberalism doesn't do that. It's really not an economic system at all. It's a heist, because the money just goes into the hands of corporations and capitalists and business owners who might not even work in the business, and that money just goes up to the CEOs and the rich people on top, and that's where it stays forever, as we can see. This isn't like my opinion. There is hard data, consistent data that shows that this is true, and this is what's happening. The only way we could possibly reform capitalism, and honestly, I don't think it's possible, but I'll play devil's advocate here. The only way you could possibly reform capitalism is to, end neoliberalism altogether and go back to taxing corporations and rich people 90% plus. Honestly, if they're a billionaire, they should be getting taxed 99%. Nobody needs $1 billion. It is impossible to earn $1 billion. The only way you can become a billionaire is by the exploitation of other people. Basically, by not paying your taxes and by exploiting your workers and not paying them. Wage theft, basically. And nothing is going to get better until this happens. So if we actually, don't want a revolution and we want to somehow, for some reason, keep capitalism around, the only thing that's going to save it is if they're taxing billionaires at 90+%. Otherwise, things are just going to keep getting worse. Once you see this chart, it's just going to keep going up. The wealth is just going to keep going up, and there is less and less left in the actual economy for the rest of us to survive on, and it's not going to get any better. So yeah, if we're not demanding 90+% tax for billionaires, I don't know what we're doing. We're wasting our time. It's either that or revolution.